What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here. It is the Lowdown. It's all brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Appreciate you guys checking it out. Click the like and subscribe button. That helps us out. The notification button to let you know anytime one of these gets posted. I did have a short one yesterday for the Saturday college football games. I'll touch on what I was on Saturday here in just a second. Friday was not my night as I lost both college football games. Had the Cubs under, and it was just a pisser as it was 3-0 after the first, so it ruined my nerfy. Ugly day for me yesterday. Nobody likes to admit it, but football is where things have been really good for me, and so far so good in the NFL is, 7-2, something like that. But atop the leaderboard, feel good, and NFL's been very kind to me, and I see a great week coming this week. I'm going to throw out 4 games, talk about them, and I'll talk about a few other things that I was seeing. I do have a ton of premium plays up. As I know a lot of the guys have talked about it, but if you're going to buy for the weekend, the best buy is, I know my 3-day package is $79.99, and you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you can set it up for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, depending on how you want to do it, and just get all my football plays. I usually have, I hate this, it's not going to be every week, but it should be most of them. I usually have like a 5-pack or my top 5, and then I put out some other plays in different packages and things. So you can check that out if you want. I do think it's the best buy that you can get in buying the 3-day package, but if you choose to buy daily and figure out what you like, it's perfectly fine. Do what's best for you. Now, when it comes down to it, Saturday, I loved Alabama. I loved Ole Miss. The more I started looking at that Notre Dame A&M game, I loved Notre Dame. I was on Miami. I was on the Buffalo under as another play that I liked. I liked Georgia Tech. There were a handful of them. And the one thing I said, it's kind of weird that I was on a ton of favorites in college football, and that's not the norm for me. I just thought that's where the value was this week. So I try not to overthink it because I know I'm one of those guys that's not going to be just taking every favorite across the board. Like a lot of people try to put out there. It's easy to tell you why this team's going to win, and people expect them to cover because people love overs and they love favorites. And I love underdogs and I love unders. Unders are boring to bet, but you're winning until you're not, right? Yeah, I think that's how that goes. All right, so with those plays on Saturday, I think the Bama one was one of my favorites. I looked at some college football props. I can't bet them in the state of Maryland, so it's kind of weird like breaking down some of this stuff, but I did like Bama's quarterback over, Duke's quarterback under passing yards. Who else did I go to? Desmond Reed's rushing yards. There were a couple that kind of stood out to me. All right, let's do this. Let's get into, before I get into the NFL games, check out the phone number to the side. If you text that number and text the words Inner Circle, you can find out about the Concrete Inner Circle. That's, as I've said, I don't want to waste anyone's time. It's more for high rollers. If you're going to spend big bucks and you want a rated system, late breaking plays, prop plays, all those things that I do on a daily basis, text Inner Circle that number and you can find out more about it. Now, we're going to spend some time here talking NFL. So let's start it off with New England at Miami. Miami's favored by 2.5. Total's 43.5. Let me just tell you guys what I talked to somebody in the industry that's down there in Miami and said that the Miami Dolphins are a train wreck. Like behind the scenes, on the field, like it's like the inmates are running the asylum. And I hate saying this because I love Mike McDaniel. I just don't think maybe the next time around will be the opportunity, get this experience. He got to go to Miami, coach this team, and figured he could take Tua. And look, when Tua was in his system before these concussions and all of them started to add up, they were one of the best offenses in football. Mike McDaniel's offense is legit. But the thing that I keep saying is, being a younger head coach, it reminds me of Cliff Kingsbury when he was in Arizona with Kyler Murray, and they had the same agent, and they were like buddy, but look, man, you're in charge here. You're the head coach. Like, you got to get these guys doing. I mean, we're hearing stories about Kyler Murray playing video games and not studying, and whether any of that's true, we don't know. But like, we've seen this happen before with these young coaches that try to become friendly with the players instead of being the coach. Yeah, you can be friendly with them, but you ain't his friend. When you guys retire, when everything's hung up, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you going out, getting a meal, chat, whatever. But you got to know what the pecking order is, and I feel like down in Miami, the inmates are running the asylum. Their defense looks horrendous. Their offense looks even worse. And now they get New England, who screwed the pooch at home and lost to the Raiders. I think you'll see more Trevion Henderson this week. Still waiting for when we see more Ollie Gordon with the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Patriots here. And as I look at this, I'm just going to trust some of the information I got. I know being in Miami in September can be a huge advantage. I'm sure New England's been there with the humidity and the heat and how it affects teams. But I can't bet on this Miami team. I just can't with everything that I've heard. And it wouldn't surprise me to see this thing blown up before week 5 or 6. But we shall see. Just one to keep your eye on there. Now, I'll try to go over some prop plays that I like in these games. This was the free play that Zeno and I gave out. It was the Rams and the Titans, and we both liked this game. I like the Titans a lot. I think they're way better than you think. This is their home opener. If you watch the Rams scuffled with the Texans at home and did not look good at all. Like, I know the Rams won that game. They had no business winning that game. The only thing you could look at and say, man, Puka Nacua caught 10 passes for 130 yards. He was really good. There wasn't a lot to sit here and talk about. And I'm not telling you that the Tennessee Titans are world beaters. They should have beat Denver in week 1. Calvin Ridley dropping passes left and right. Cam Ward's dad losing his mind in the stands. Like, come on. Cam Ward played way better than what you think. And I think we see more of that. I think I would not be shocked if Tennessee wins this game outright. But I am worried about this Rams team because I don't know what the NFC West is going to be. Like, now San Francisco lost Brock Purdy, so we get the ghost of Mac Jones to return here. Then you look at Seattle. Seattle's defense was outrageously good, and we're going to talk about Seattle in the final play. But their offense looked wanting against San Francisco. So then you get to the other teams out there, and you're going, okay, can Arizona be for real? I think, like a lot of people, I picked Arizona to win this division, but I don't really have confidence in a Kyler Murray-led team because he hasn't showed me anything yet. Outside of singular games and going off, I mean, there's been more bad games, or more bad than good, I should say, with him. So, no, I picked Arizona, but I don't feel great about it. So, looking at the Rams and Matthew Stafford and his back injury, if they can't develop some sort of running game and help him set up the play-action pass, I think they're going to be in trouble. I like the Titans here plus the points. A little sprinkle on that money line wouldn't be a bad thing either, as I think the Titans are the right play, and I think they're going to be a much better team than you think, and maybe, just maybe, they found their quarterback in Cam Ward. I do like Calvin Ridley to go over his receiving yards today. That was a prop play that I did sprinkle a little something on because of last week. They were talking about how good he looked in camp, and ironically, I was on Calvin Ridley's under receptions last week because he was going to be matched up with Patrick Surtain, and his total was 4.5. He ended up with 4 receptions for like 20-some yards, but he dropped like 4 passes, so I easily could have lost that. But I think maybe some of that's the Patrick Surtain and Denver Bronco defense effect. But even the Broncos didn't look good. Now they got to go to Indy, so we'll see what happens there. But I think the Titans are the right side of this, and I will be on them. So as I'm saying, it's a lean. It's actually a free play because I like them a lot. Now, another spot that I think people are just misreading, Tampa Bay at Houston. Houston's minus 2.5. Total's 42.5. Now, with Houston, it's their home opener. You're going to hear me say this a lot over the next couple of weeks. The teams that went on the road for the first 2 weeks having their home opener in week 3, and people aren't paying attention to it. I do think these things matter, and as teams play much better at home, and I think that first game of the season, the crowd's into it. You know, everybody, you don't know you're the freaking, what's the team I should pick? You don't know you're the Saints yet, right? The Saints played tough in week 1 against Arizona, but ultimately Arizona won that game and handled business. Now, with Tampa Bay and Houston, a couple things to look at. I really do feel like Atlanta should have won that game. I'm biased because that was my top play of the week, and they really just did some dumb things, man. A 15-yard penalty on the final drive and then giving up the touchdown, taking the lead and then giving it back. The missed field goal, all the things that happened and what they could have done. The fact that in that game, and nobody's talking about it, that the Falcons ran a play, the clock's winding down, they got up to the line, they spiked the football, which means they have run another play, and then the refs get a buzz and call back and say, oh no, that's not what we're doing. He stepped out of bounds because the eye in the sky's watching, and now they put more time on the clock and then move them back to the spot where he stepped out of bounds. Even if it's the right call, you can't do it after a play's already been run. Like, where the hell did that come in? It's just stupid. And that's not what cost Atlanta the game or anything, but I hate the fact, and for all the people out there that are like, hey, man, I think this game's fixed, that game's fixed. I don't necessarily buy into that. But you can't tell me that the eye in the sky as they buzz down whenever they feel like it to say, hey, this is the right side of it. What about when they miss it? So I don't like that. I think it's got to stay with the challenge system. Either use the eye in the sky for every single play or don't use it at all. Like having an extra referee, but you're just going to tell us when the ref thinks it's, I mean, come on. That's BS, but this league has been BS for a while. The NFL is sold out to the almighty dollar, playing games in Brazil and Germany and England and all over the damn place. Mexico, playing on Thursday nights on short weeks, adding in extra games. Yeah, we care about player safety. Bullshit, man. It's just total bullshit from the league. And sorry I got off on this rant, but I hate the NFL for how it's been run and how they're doing things. Makes no sense to make your guys travel down to Brazil 13 hours on a straight flight there and then expect them to come back the next week. And then we have that. We got the Eagles who played on, Thursday Night Football, and the Chiefs that played on Friday Night Football. Chiefs home opener. It's another interesting game. But let me get back to Tampa Bay and Houston as I just got up on my soapbox there. With the matchup that we have here, I think Houston's better than people want to give him credit for. I think Nico finally shows up and has a big game. I think Tampa Bay's secondary can be had. If you saw, Drake London was getting peppered left and right. A couple of drops, maybe some interference, some bad plays. He got hurt. It looks like he's going to play this week, though. But with Houston, got to figure out their running game. Their defense was really solid. And in a home opener, there's a reason why Houston is favored by 2.5 points. I think they're the better team today. I think they're in the better spot. So give me the Texans minus the 2.5 against this Rams team. A couple other things before I get into the Seahawks and Steelers. I want to talk about some of the prop plays I was looking at. So I talked about this with Breece Hall's over in his rushing yards. This is a situation where this Bills team is in a perfect spot for a letdown game, going to the Jets after the emotional comeback over the Ravens. Same thing with the Jets. Don't want to go 0-2 at home. You lost a very emotional game that you probably should have won had you not fumbled a kickoff and done something stupid down the stretch as well. With that being said, I thought the Jets looked way better than people want to give them credit for. I don't know if the Steelers' defense is trash. I don't know if it's just an anomaly game where the offenses were just clicking. But it was the lowest total of the game, and it was the highest scoring game until the Ravens-Bills game. Now, speaking of Breece Hall, I do think if you look at Derrick Henry, and I know he's a different beast, he had 3 20-plus runs, including a 50-yard run. Breece Hall's not that lumbering back that Derrick Henry can be, but he's fast, and if you open up one of those holes that he gets outside, I definitely think he could take it to the house. I love Breece Hall. I'm playing him in all my daily fantasy lineups. He's going to be, I'm betting his overs. Conversely, on the other side, I'm betting James Cook over receiving yards. His receptions were 2.5, and I still think that looks good, but I thought the yards looked better. I bet Cortland Sutton's under receiving yards, and Calvin Ridley, I talked about betting him over. Just a couple of free prop plays to throw your guys' way if you're interested in betting those. There were a bunch more that I was on. I liked Sam Darnold's over attempts, but some of them just didn't make my list as it is. Now, let's get to the Seahawks and Steelers because I think this is the most interesting game this weekend. And some people will be like, why? Well, we don't know what either one of these teams are. So let me start with the Seahawks. Lost the game against the 49ers. I don't think they had any business losing that game. A couple of stupid things that happened. Their defense, speaking of Seattle, looked outrageously good. And I knew this was going to happen with Mike McDonald, not to be confused with Mike McDaniel, who we just talked about. Mike McDonald, the former Ravens defensive coordinator who spent 2 years here, and after year 2, everybody wanted him, and he ended up in Seattle. I didn't want him to leave Baltimore. I think he's a defensive genius. So he's already got that defense cooking over there. He's kind of using Love like he used Kyle Hamilton here. So a lot of different things you could see with the Seattle defense. Now, they're going to face Pittsburgh and slow-ass Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers, yeah, he had a good game. He threw for a bunch of touchdowns, 200 and some yards, nothing special there, but the 4 TDs really stand out. DK Metcalf, revenge game, if you like that sort of thing. But as I look at this, there's so much money coming in on the Steelers, and I understand why, because everybody wants to believe they're the good team and Seattle's not because I watched the Steelers score a ton of points. I just checked. They gave up a ton of points. So it's like, do I want to buy into Seattle's defense or Pittsburgh's offense? I know which one I think's real. It's Seattle's defense. I think Seattle goes on the road and wins this game, and you're going to hear me. Like, I am one of those guys that buy into the West Coast coming east and how difficult that can be. But it's all about timing, too, especially if it's on the second leg of a road trip. the teams that have to come to the East Coast twice, and do they do it back-to-back and just stay on the East Coast and practice somewhere over here? But with the Seahawks, I could see the Steelers' defense not being that great. I mean, Justin Fields, that's right, made them look foolish. Give me the Seahawks plus the points as my free play. I think they went outright. So if you want to sprinkle something on the money line, feel free, but I'm going to gladly take those 3. And as I said to Zeno on our NFL show, I said, watch the Steelers win by 3 points, and all this is for naught. All this talk about everything that's going on. I mean, the Steelers should win at home. I just don't expect that. But I'm gladly going to take these 3 points with the Seahawks. If you guys get a chance, check out all the premium plays I have going on over at Pick Dawgz. I have a 5-pack out, or my top 5. I got my best bet, which I did lose last week. I've said this before. With my concrete best bet, I have only had 1 losing season. I've had some pretty epic seasons rolling with this, so yeah, it sucks to start off 0-1, and then in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't want to go 0-2. I don't want to be chasing uphill, but I do think we have a great game this week, and it looks like one of the best spots on the board. And if I can sit here and talk about, I'm at the top of the leaderboard. The NFL is going to be very, very good to me in the future, and it's been good to me in the past. This Sunday, I love a ton, and as I've talked about, overreaction week 2. So yeah, if you were going to buy some of my plays for one day, make it today, and go out and check out the plays that we have there, because I think we're looking for a big, big day with some of the picks. And if I'm not your guy, check out some of the other guys at Pick Dawgz. There's a lot of great cappers over there. You can check the leaderboards, who's been hot lately, who's been hot in what sport. There's a lot of that. So, or you can go back and check their pages and see how they've done here recently as well. So it's what I love doing this, because now with the fact that, people get something back in return when they don't get their bet, or when they don't hit their bet, I should say. And I think that's so, what's the right word? Man, I feel like I've got so much brain fog because I'm not sleeping much. But, I think it's the right thing to do on behalf of some other people when they're buying plays, and, you get a token back if somebody makes a mistake. You can try it another handicapper. You can go back to the same guy and say, hey, I don't think he's going to lose 2 in a row, but it happens. So, as I said, I had a shitty Friday, a good Thursday. I've been this whole week's been really good to me, except for Friday. So it's a nice day, I should say, to bounce back. All right, guys, I'll be back in the morning as I always do. I post the weather algorithm results for baseball. I know we're talking a ton of football here, but I know some people come back looking for baseball. The fact that it's football season, I'd rather focus on that than going into some September baseball games. I will be doing the playoffs still. And going through there and looking at games. So we'll have a lot to talk about leading up to this, and more football game talk throughout the weekdays once baseball starts to die down a little bit. But we still talk some games during the week as well. Appreciate you guys watching. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments or hit me up on social media at JConn Sports. Appreciate it, guys. Hope you win some cash. I'll see you tomorrow.